All right. Good evening, afternoon, good morning. I have my iced coffee in hand, and I'm ready to talk about things that make me angry about boys' love. Okay, so for today's episode, I'd like to talk about the Tharntype of it all. Mostly first season, special, and probably Tharntype 2. But let's begin from the first episode. Okay, so we meet Type, right? He's like this super aggressive, very macho, I hate gay people kind of guy, right? And that's okay for the most part. But in this story, it gets worse. His roommate, you will not believe it, is a homosexual. Now, usually that doesn't work out and it's super kooky for most people. But in this one, in this show, they end up falling in love. Weird, right? Yeah. No. Okay, so what really makes me angry about Tharntype is that from the very beginning of the show, we find out that their relationship stems from hatred, right? They just hate each other. They cannot be with each other, they cannot be around. And the moment that Type finds out that Tarn is actually a homosexual, it gets worse for everybody. Type starts to like mess with his stuff, ruin his things, go out of his way to like make things awful for him, and I'm just gonna say it. I didn't like any of it. I hated it. Hated every second of it. Hated every moment of it. It's the whole idea that a character can like hate somebody so much because of who they are and then end up falling in love with them because of a forced rape situation just kind of, como se dice, doesn't sit well with me. Maybe it's because I myself just can't grasp the idea behind being with somebody who, I don't know, sexually assaulted me. But the idea that they end up together is just. I, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. For starters, they don't really seem to have anything in common. Type is like a soccer player who eventually starts working in medicine, like sports medicine, while Tarn is like a musician who wants to pursue music as his career, which is fine. That's not the problem. It's just they're very much not even into the same things, like, let alone some people who would be into each other, right? I could say that and be okay. I think so. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Type is like crude, rude, not really fun to be around. I mean, he has friends, don't get me wrong. Techno, who is the love of my life, I'll tell you that, I'll tell you what. He is like his best friend. And they seem to get along really well. But even then, Techno, half the time, is just like, dude, what are you doing? Just leave the guy alone. It's not worth it. So, like, for half of the show, they just spend, like, this weird cat and mouse chase where they, like, go after each other and treat each other very poorly, which I guess for some people is, like, super attractive. But for me, personally, I didn't like any of it. I thought it was weird. Um, I think it's because, like, again, purely because of my own opinion. Um, Anybody who hates me that much to like ruin my stuff, like rip my posters, throw my clothes around, pour liquids on top of my bed, just doesn't feel like somebody I want to be around. I think in the long run, it might just be not fun. And I guess I can't respect somebody like that. I mean, I'm not Tarn, but he eventually did. So, Tarn's backstory is a bit like wishy-washy and kind of shaky. I guess he's got a brother and a sister. An older brother who's super nice, played by a wonderful actor who is the cutest man of all BL, and a sister who in first season is played by a child. But by second season, she's, I guess, really grown up and like a really famous Thai drama star. We'll get to that later. It's not even, I mean, we'll probably not get to that, but either way. So his family is great. Like his mom and father accept him for who he is. They help him out with a lot of his like growing up, right? Tarn's had a bunch of boyfriends who somehow ended in very tragic or very like super sad ways. And he has a best friend named Long. Long is literally the only fully developed character in the entire show. And I'll tell you what, while he is the overarching villain that we find out, I think, by the end of season 1, he is also the only character out of all of them who really has, like, kind of, what's the word, like, he's kind of developed. He's like the only character who developed throughout the show, because we meet him as this, like, meek person who's friends with Tarn, who's, like, kind of has a crush on him but kind of doesn't. We can't really tell, but it seems like he does. For the most part, he just seems like a super friendly person to be around. But it turns out that bitch is evil. That bitch is pure hatredly evil. And we find that out by the end of the season. We'll get to that in a bit. But I think, realistically speaking, even though he's like the worst character in the show because he's evil, Long is by far my favorite character of the entire show. Because he's the only one who gets a character development. Like, for the most part, Tarn and Type just stay kind of in the same medium, where they're like the same person. They don't really grow from it, aside from their relationship that eventually becomes like a real thing. Again, because of a rape. Like, at one point, while going through whatever they're going through, Tarn eventually gets really tired of being treated like shit, which he should have just left. But he then decides that he's gonna take this as an opportunity to, like, sexually assault Type. Like, there's like a scene where Type is like sick and going through like weird, like, I think he might have been drunk, I don't remember, but he starts to like kiss all up on his body. He leaves a hickey on his neck. It's like super uncomfortable, all because, I mean, not all because, but like, Type did ruin all of Tharn's things. I get it, like, payback would be beneficial in this situation, but not in that way. So, like, he leaves a hickey on his neck, and then there's, like, a scene where Type is, like, taking a shower, and Tarn, like, walks in there and, like, starts giving him a blowage. I don't know if I can say that here, but I said it. And it's, like, it's one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the whole show. Not because the sex scenes aren't hot or they're not attractive. I think if they were taken out of context and used as actual sex scenes, rather than to describe a rape, I think it would have been a much better situation, because I'll give the actors what they deserve, because Mew and Gulf have really good chemistry with each other. Like, they have great chemistry with each other, and I think that's part of the reason why this show is so popular and it's so polarizing for a bunch of people, because a lot of people are just willing to overlook all of, like, the bad writing and the rape scenes and the weird sex scenes in the beginning, because they just love Mew and Gulf so much. Like, those two are really good actors. I'll give them that for the medium that they're in. I don't think they're, like, great. Whatever, it's not worth it. My opinion on that is not important. But the two of them have really great chemistry, so that's why a lot of people overlook a lot of, like, the shittiness of the show, which is part of the reason why I really liked Tharntype for the very first part, because, like, I really liked the two of them together, and I thought they were great actors. But besides that, like, it really just feels like it's a lot of, like, forced behavior in the very first couple of episodes. Like, Tarn is, like, pushing himself on Type the entire time, and Type is just like, oh, I hate gay people. Like, it's pretty gross. It's just not good. But we're gonna take a little break here, and when I come back, we're gonna talk about the meme of it all. Okay, so for us to continue to talk about Tharntype, we have to talk about Mame. Now, Mame is the original author who wrote the Love by Chance books, who also wrote the Tharntype books. She has a specific way of writing characters that a lot of people find polarizing. You either really enjoy her content or you really dislike her content. It's never, I mean, I guess there are people in the middle, but it's usually never like that. Usually when people talk about Mame, they usually talk about how much they dislike the stuff that she says or what she does, or how much they love the stuff that she does. From what I gathered, based off my limited research on BL and novels, I should say, my limited research on BL novels, I guess she writes characters for the sake of spice rather than quality. A lot of her books are very much just kind of like smut fan fiction that a lot of women seem to be really into. I mean, men as well, don't get me wrong. But a lot of her content is written by women for women, which is a lot of BL. Let's get that one thing out of the way first. BL is a medium of yaoi that is written by women for women. I mean, gay men can enjoy it. Don't think that, they can't. But a lot of BL tends to be towards the women gaze. Like they want that female audience to enjoy the content. Anyways, she writes really aggressive smut that to me personally makes me uncomfortable, but not because it's smut, just the way that she writes. Like the whole Tharntype thing with the rape and the abuse just kind of makes it icky. Like what the whole story about what Long did to Tar, right? The whole Long convinced Tar to show up at a hotel, got him drugged up and drunk, and then told 3 men to show up at the hotel room, gang rape him, and then record it. And then he held that over his head to then use as blackmail to make Tar break up with Tarn. And then thus ending their relationship, which then leads Tarn to like fall onto Long's lap or embrace, being like, oh, he broke up with me. And then Long is right there to pick up the pieces because he forced a really awful situation on a teenager, by the way, a high schooler. Anyways. But that's how Mame writes a lot of her content, right? For Don't Say No, she writes not first, oh my god. She writes Fiat as this, like, empowered slut who only has sex with men because there's a reason behind it. And, it just becomes a very, very gross, chaotic reason to have sex with somebody. But anyways, in Tharntype, she wrote their first love encounter, I guess, as a rape scene. Like, sets Type as like a sexual assault victim and sets Tarn as like a rapist. While I guess in the end they end up together, so that really doesn't matter. It's just the fact that was written as a story plot just kind of makes me feel a little sticky, and not in the good way, just like groggy and gross. A lot of her stuff also tends to be hyper fixated. Like the fan base becomes super aggressive about it. Like when I first watched Tharntype, I did my research on what BLs I should be watching because I wanted to keep up, I wanted to catch up, I wanted to see what everybody was talking about, and that was the one everybody was like, watch it, it's super great, blah blah blah, and then it was just like very different, very very different. It again, from the rape scene to the random sexual encounters to the Ice Cube makeout session. P.S. Gay people don't do that, by the way. I don't know what she got that from. Maybe some like high schooler handbook, because like adult gay men who are in college, that whole Ice Cube situation is not realistic whatsoever. Like, you're in college, you're more worried about like diddling the dudes than like putting Ice Cube in your mouth and like making out with your partner. It's not real, not realistic whatsoever. But I guess she wrote this, and I guess I can't really. I wasted my time watching it, so I guess I'm part of the problem. Whatever. But back to Tharntype. So we find out that they eventually are like start having a sexual relationship, right? Like not rape wise, just like sexual period. I guess Tarn brings up the fact that, oh, we've been kind of having sex. And Type is like, well, we can continue to have sex because now I really enjoy it. But that's it. I will never fall in love with you. We will never be together. That's strictly just sex. Because I like to bottom. Yeah, it's pretty kooky. Pretty gross. But then the story gets a little funky because we find out that the reason why Type doesn't like gay people is because I guess when he was younger, he was kidnapped and molested by a gay person. Haha, Mame wrote that in the book, and it made it to the show. Yeah. Then we find out that the male worker who raped him was somebody that worked for his family's resort. And I guess that grew his hatred towards gay people for his entire life, and that's why he dislikes gay people. Now, I mean, if that's not a reason to hate gay people in a specific scenario, I don't know what is. So I can understand his hatred towards homosexuals. The way he goes about it, though, just becomes really, really aggressive. Like, even though him and Tarn are like kind of fooling around and having sex, there's an entire situation where these two LGBT people, one who looks like a clear gay man and a trans woman, they come up to him and they say, "Oh, Type, you're so attractive, you're so hot. Let us take pictures of you to put it on this school cute boy fan page." I guess cute boy fan pages are a thing in Thai colleges, where they take photos of attractive men and they put it in the front page, and then they have women ogle over them, or even gay men ogle over them. Anyways, so they're like, "Oh, Type, let's take photos with you so we can put it on this website, I guess." And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. Super uncomfortable about the whole thing while it's happening. I guess the gay man and the trans woman were touching him a little too much, that he then freaks out, calls them all a bunch of names, uses the F slur, like calls them degenerates. It's pretty gross. It's pretty disgusting how he reacts towards them, to the point where these people are obviously upset about it and super uncomfortable about it, that instead they use his picture to write this like burn notice about him, being like, "This man is a homophobe, do not instigate with him, do not talk to him," which then kind of ruins his entire relationship in the college. It spreads like wildfire, girlfriend, and everyone finds out about it, and everyone's talking about it, and everyone's upset. Tarn, being who he is, I guess, decides that he's going to take it upon himself to save his future boyfriend. And it's just kind of it becomes like a whole mess again. Tarn is like, "That's not who he is." And the people are like, "Yes, it is. That is exactly who he is." And I guess they come to this agreement where as long as he apologizes to them face to face, they'll forgive him and they'll write like a better piece. I don't know. It happens. They fix the situation. But it just becomes, it's just like a necessary mess that didn't need to happen. Anyways, as the story goes on, the plot starts to unravel. Really, you know what? It's really funny because by like episode 7 or 8, nothing really is going on. And then after episode 8, everything just happens all at once up until episode 12. It's like boom, 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 boom. Drama. Anyways, we find out that Long has a secret plan to break Type and Tarn up, because I guess everybody finds out that they're together. Type is super jealous. Tarn is super jealous. Any little situation that happens between them and somebody else, they become super aggressive about it. They get into a huge fight over the littlest things. It becomes problematic to the point where they eventually like get into such a huge fight that they break up. Mind you, I'm like, what is going on? Where did all this drama come from? You know, and this is just a thought about the overarching of BL in general. What is it about couples, especially BL couples, who cannot communicate with each other? It really is just that. Like, these people go through these dramatic situations and these misunderstandings, and no one sits down and has like a conversation. They just kind of assume the worst, go overboard, dive headfirst into drama or into a situation, and then fight with each other. I don't understand. I'd like the whole time I'm like screaming at the screen, being like, just talk to each other, have a conversation, sit down and talk. It is not that deep. It can't be that serious. You can clearly see that he's pushing him away. Why do you think he's cheating on you? I don't get it. Stop. Anyways, It's aggressive. It's annoying. But we're gonna take a little break here, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about more Tharntype and the finale because I don't know. It seems like we're at that point, and I just need to get that out of my heart. Okay, so the finale happens, and I guess it starts off with Type and Tarn aren't talking. Tarn is losing his mind because he thought this man was the love of his life, and Type wants nothing to do with him for a bit. Turns out it's like a secret plan the whole time to get Long to confront Long and get Long to talk about what he's been doing this entire time so that the Type could record him and then have Tarn hear an audio of how crazy Long has been and all the stuff that he's doing. Because turns out, like I said before, Long has been in Tarn's life for a very long time. And the whole time he's been there, he has caused every breakup that Tarn has had. Turns out that Miss Thing has been Miss Independent the entire time she's been around. Every possible situation that's gone bad in Tarn's life relating to his relationships and his depression towards men has been caused by Long. From breaking him and his first boyfriend up to blackmailing Tar into breaking up with Tarn because he has a rape video over his head to attempting to break him and Type up. This man has literally gone through the ringer of emotions because his best friend, well, somebody he thought was his best friend, has been putting him through the entire thing. By the way, I think his name is Kaona. I don't know I'll figure out how to pronounce it. I promise. I'm not this bad, but he is such a good actor in all of this. From the emotional turmoil in his face to pretending to be pretending to be passive aggressive to pretending to be into like the relationship of Tharntype. From the crying to the crazy laughter to the choking of Type, like this man is a great actor. I'm gonna tell you that. Like, mind you, he's now is in Love Stage. By the way, Love Stage is one of my favorite animes for a long time, and he's like one of the main actors in Love Stage. I'm obsessed with it. Anyways, we're gonna talk about that in another episode when the season's done. But Kauna is like the best actor in this whole fucking show. I'll tell you, like 100%, hands down. Anyways, Long, I guess, in this random parking lot is like having a conversation with Type where he like fesses up to everything. Mind you, while this is happening, Tarn is across the way, hiding behind a bush, listening to the whole thing while it's happening. Crazy. So he's like telling Type all the stuff that he's done, everything that he's willing to do because he's in love with Tarn and he wants nothing but to be happy with Tarn, because throughout all of it, Long has been there through the entire thing, has been his best friend, has been his confidant, etc., etc. Everything you could say this man said, which is true. Because in every situation, he's caused it all. He's been there breaking him and his boyfriends up like a fucking psycho. Listen, character development 110%, because this man went from being like just Tarn's best friend to co-musician, lead vocalist, to skeptical about his relationship with Type, to putting things in Tarn's head, to forcing Tar to come back into Tarn's life and hit on him and do these things. And also, poor little Tar, that poor boy. I gotta give it to him because he went through shit and he continued to go through shit because Long just kept forcing him into situations over and over again because he kept blackmailing him with that tape. It became really sad to watch this poor actor just cry every time he's on scene, because it's heartbreaking. I couldn't understand what it would be like to go through what he did, the character, not the actor, because going through what he did in the span of time where it was happening to him is must be insufferable, must be insane, must be uncomfortable. Also, sorry about the background noise. It seems like the day I decided to record a podcast, there are a bajillion workers just working on the side of the street. Anyways, back to Tar. Yeah, it's just really sad. The relationship between him and his brother is like tarnished because he can't own up to what happened. It's not that he has to own up to what happened. It's just like he can't talk about what happens without breaking down and without feeling like crap. And he feels like it was all his fault. He feels like he put himself in that situation when he didn't even do anything. This poor boy just existed and just happened to be in Long's, crosshairs, and he headshot. Long got to him. I do like how his relationship gets fixed by the end of the show, where him and Type kind of become good friends, because I guess Tar and Type understand each other by the end of the story, because Type understands what it's like to be in his situation, and because they were both sexually assaulted when they were younger. And I guess he feels sorry for him because this poor boy has just got nowhere to turn, got nowhere to go. So I guess the relationship really blossoms by the end of the show, and I can support that. But man, Long is just evil, and it's chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, really good. Really good drama, I should say. Not really good character because he's awful. He's an awful character, but Kauna did a really good job, and I really appreciate it. Anyways, all of that happened, and turns out that the reason why Type wasn't talking to Tarn was because Type had this plan to pretend to break up so that Long would feel like they were broken up, so that Long would open up about the situation. Basically, making Tarn feel like crap and shit because he wanted to like us, like, I don't know, get this guy out of the way. They obviously come to an understanding. They figure out that yes, they're in love with each other and they can't be without each other and they need to be in each other's life. And then they become an official couple. And I think that's how the show ends. It ends on a happy note, ends on a happy ending. Um, I guess this was just like a really big review about Tharntype and the things that I just felt uncomfortable about it. Uh, Again, when I finished the show for the first time, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I really just couldn't get myself to stop talking about it. I think it's because it was like one of my first BLs back after taking like a years long hiatus. I think I stopped watching BLs. Listen, I watched What the Duck season 1, and I've never touched BL after that because I was just like, this cannot be it, and I'm not wasting my time on anything like this. So because of that, I didn't touch BLs, but then Time Type came out, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a chance. I gave it a chance like a year after season 2 was done. So season 2 finished, and then I finally watched Time Type season 1. Um, but yeah, it was a good show. Aside from the bad writing that Mame does, I really enjoy Mew Gulf. Their chemistry is really great on camera. Like I said, Kauna is a wonderful actor. He can play evil so well, and I really appreciate that. Mild, the actor who plays Techno, is the love of my life. I will forever say that because that man is so cute and so sweet and so wonderful. Even as Techno, like the entire time I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, so cute. I can't stop thinking about him. I'm obsessed. What else? Uh, Tarn's brother, is extremely attractive and super handsome. Like, oh my god, so sweet too. Also, really overprotective over his brother. But he continues to have a relationship with Long, even after he finds out about all the stuff that happens. Like, he forgives Long for doing what he did to his brother and just has a relationship. Maybe it's like a cultural thing that I don't get, but listen, if my brother had gone through hell because his best friend, who was also my friend, did him so dirty and did some terrible things to him, I would never talk to that person again, ever in my life. Not even, don't even get me started. No, thank you. I mean, I didn't even talk about Tarn's first boyfriend, the one who keeps coming over his house for some reason. I mean, it's not really an important character. He just keeps coming over his house to like eat food. I don't know. They dated in high school when Tarn was like first came out and they did it for like a couple of things or whatever. I think that's the only relationship where they broke up without him having a reason related to Long, right? I think that's the only relationship. Yeah, that they broke up, or maybe Long did cause the breakup outwardly, like he didn't, like Long didn't mess with the ex-boyfriend. Either way, um, what else can we talk about? I think that's it. I think that's pretty much all of Tharntype that I'm willing to take for right now. Because again, while the first time I watched it, I was super into it. Watching it again, I felt very like, was this really what happened while I was watching it? Did all of this really happen while I was watching it? I don't know. It just feels not good. Does not feel good at all. Um, but yeah, I think again, do I recommend you watch Tharntype? I guess if you really want to. I mean, the chemistry between Mugolf is great, but I will say the writing is not that great. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for tuning in with me on this. Things I hate about BL, which just kind of seems like me ranting and reviewing shows that this specific Tharntype show that I felt uncomfortable about. But I hope you guys liked it. I guess I'll see you around on the next episode. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the next episode. Probably History 3 Trapped, because it is by far my favorite of all BLs of all time. I think about it daily. I cry about it at night. I miss Tung Yi. Yeah. See you guys next week. See you guys, well, maybe not next week, but see you guys next episode. Thank you for tuning in. And this is me signing off.